time, been a long time coming. Whoa, whoa.
Hello and welcome to day 12 of our fairy tale reread. We're getting through the book, look at this. Now, today I said that I was going to talk about flowers, and specifically I'm going to mention yellow roses because they turn up in this chapter and they're very important, and there is a story behind that, because of course there's a story behind that. So I'm going to read you a little bit of a customer who comes in while Nate is visiting Rosie at Kowalski's. It's the Kowalski's tradition that we're going to find out about, so here we go. The door opened and an old man entered. "Hello, Rosie! The wind blew me in this direction and I wondered why. And then I remembered that today is the second Thursday in the month, so I should be here." I shook the age-crumpled hand of Mr. Eli Lukic. "I have your order ready. It's right here as usual." Eli followed me to the counter. "You are such a good girl. I was saying to my dear Elonia only this morning what a good girl you are. You remind me of my mother, Valentina Nikolaeva, God rest her soul, when we were in the old country." I handed Eli a small bouquet of yellow roses. His hooded blue eyes scrunched up as he breathed in the scent. "Beautiful, beautiful Rosie, like my mother used to love. They grew in Father Gennadi's garden, you know." I had heard the story 100 times, but there was something about Eli's tales of old White Russia that captivated me every time. Eli's attention, however, had moved to Nate, who was watching the conversation with fascination. "Hello, young man. My name is Eli Lukic. I am pleased to make your acquaintance." He slowly extended his hand and Nate scrambled to his feet to shake it. "Pleased to meet you, sir. I'm Nathaniel Amy." Mr. Lukic held Nate's hand for a second and studied his face. "I wish you blessings, Nathaniel Amy." His eyes returned to me. "Now how much do I owe you, Rosie?" "No money, Mr. Lukic. I'll settle for a story from the old country," I replied with a smile. This was the usual, expected answer, and delight lifted every line of Eli's face. "Then I will tell you of the time Ivan Ivanovitch's cow became stuck in the river." Now, the reason that I wanted to have an old Belarusian man in this story is that before I started writing the book, I used to go to Belarus on aid missions. We used to build playgrounds for kids that had been affected by the Chernobyl disaster. And so some of the people that I mention in Eli's story are actually people that I met. So there was a priest called Father Gennadi, who was a lovely guy that we used to go and stay with. There's a village called Losk, and that's where he lived, and that's where we always used to go. And the kind of the stories of the old country, when we were there, we would sit down and we'd meet people and they would tell us stories, and it was always about somebody's cow or the geese or the potato harvest. And so I decided that one of the traditions at Kowalski's was that this old guy, who had been a customer right from when Mr. Kowalski established the shop, there was this understanding between them that he would buy a small bouquet of yellow roses on the second Thursday of each month in exchange for a story. And what he does is he goes home and he proposes to his wife all over again, and this happens every single month. I wanted there to be a story that represented what Rosie sees as true love. Now, I said there was a story about yellow roses. When I wrote it, yellow roses are my favourite flower. I love yellow roses and I hate lilies. Celia hates lilies. Mr. Lukic comes in and buys yellow roses. And when I first met Bob, I was writing this, it was in a very, very early draft, and I dared to show it to him when we first started chatting because we were friends before we went out. And so on our first date, he bought me a little bunch of yellow roses, and I just thought it was fate. I was like, this is amazing, he knows me so well. And it was about a year and a half later when we were together that he admitted to a friend, not to me, like we were in mixed company, and he admitted that reading my first novel gave him kind of a Miranda Dickinson 101 what to do. So there's me thinking it's a sign, and he's just reading my book, but he read my book, so that's why I married him. Now, I said today that I would talk about my floristry experience, and this is where a confession comes in. I don't have any floristry experience. The closest I get is that my mum is a flower arranger at church, and so when I was a kid I'd help her buy the flowers and then I'd watch her arrange them, and she has lots of friends who arrange flowers as well. Now, when I started writing the book and realised that I needed to look like I knew what I was talking about, I talked to some lovely florists who were really happy to sort of share how much work they do and details of their day. And I also had to research the American names for cut flowers because in many occasions they're completely different in America than they are in the UK. So I did do my research, but actually I can't arrange flowers for toffee. I wish I could. In my head I can, but no, I don't have any experience of that. But I wanted to show Rosie running a floristry business, and actually show the level of commitment that's involved, and the amount of time that's involved, and the hard work that's involved. I didn't just want to have her in this lovely shop that looked really pretty because it had lots of flowers in it. I wanted to show the reality of it. I don't believe in giving people jobs in books because it looks nice. Like if someone works in a coffee shop, you'll see them opening the coffee shop really early in the morning. If they own a business, you'll see them doing accounts late into the night. I always want to represent it in the best way I can. So tomorrow, chapter 13, and we are going to talk about the biggest commission that Kowalski's has had, Mimi Sutton's Grand Winter Ball. We're coming into autumn in the story, which means that Christmas is just around the corner. Not only Kowalski's busiest time in terms of people that are coming in and out of the shop, but also in terms of this huge society event that they now have the contract to do. And so we're going to talk about that. Do you have a question that you would like to ask about the book? Of course you can ask me. You can leave a comment below this video. I'm Wordsmith on Twitter. I'm also Wordsmith on Instagram, Miranda Dickinson author on Facebook, and you can email me, mirandawordy@gmail.com. Happy reading, have a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Been a long time coming. Whoa, whoa, whoa.